Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Hunter x Hunter 2011 episode 58 review. So, of course, before I get started, look down in the description below for the link to this week's episode of Hunter x Hunter. Now, that being said, this week's episode overall, I really liked it. I really did, because not only was the story progression there, it was there. The story progression, it was there. When it came to character development, when it came to Paku, it was there. She did die, which was somewhat touching. You know, it was somewhat touching, but it was kind of nerfed a little bit by the pacing. Like, even in the manga, because, like, if you guys don't know, the manga, around the same point in time, from the time Kurapika puts the Judgment Chain on both Lucifer and Paku, up until the time they go and to the auction in order to bid for the Greed Island game, the pacing was fairly quick, like even in the manga. So even though the anime, it felt pretty fast-paced, it coincided really well with the manga, because the manga was fast-paced and the anime as so was also fast-paced. Now, what I will say is that even in the manga, Paku's death was somewhat nerfed because it was kind of quick, and the weight of her death really didn't feel as much as it did. Well, like, let me put it like this, alright? Her death, when it comes to magnitude, didn't feel as awe-inspiring. It didn't feel as impactful as Uvogin's death. I mean, granted, at this point in time, Kurapika has killed 2 Phantom Troop members, but still, it's kind of like, you know, at this point in time, I wish that Togashi would have slowed it down a little bit. Now, what I will say here is that in this anime, because the anime hits a lot of parts. It hits the part where we see Kurapika actually doubting himself about what, like, is it the right choice to do? Like, should I be concerned with how they're gonna try and be? Because in his mind, the Phantom Troop are merciless motherfuckers, which they are. Like, most of them are. Like, they're merciless ass dudes. They don't give a fuck. And he is doubting himself as if this is, like, the right choice to make, because these people don't give a shit about life. And he decides, you know what? I'm gonna do it regardless, because I need to save Gon and Killua. They are priority number 1. And then we have Melody at the beginning, and she is actually thinking to herself, well, you have to realize that if in fact the Phantom Troop were so merciless, if they were so evil, so vicious, so ruthless, then this exchange would not be possible. They would not be possible, period. Because the thing here is that the leader, she knows that the leader has set ironclad rules, and he accepts these ironclad rules, even if these rules mean his death. However, not all of the members of the Phantom Troop feel the same way. Like, for example, Paku, because she's here, it should show Kurapika that she has the same mindset as he does. Whereas she wants to save her comrade, which is Lucifer, he wants to save his comrades or his friends, Gon and Killua. And the fact that Kurapika can't see that because he's so blinded by rage and doubt and anger and overall animosity towards the Phantom Troop, he can't see between the wall that is currently blocking his vision, in a sense, in a symbolic sense, if you would. Now, what I will say is that when it comes to so Melody, like, she knows that, so she points out that entire thing right there. And then after that, when we see Paku return to the base, well, we see animosity. Once again, we see animosity between the members of the Phantom Troop. We're seeing the guys who want to stick to the ironclad rules that were set up by Lucifer. It's for the sake of the spider and only the spider. And then there are those who believe that Lucifer is still the key component, and he is a very important component. He is the most important component of the Phantom Troop, and thus he cannot die yet. Which are, you know, of course, Machi, the little guy, and Paku. Now, what I will say is that there's actually a really key scene that they missed here. And this key scene involves Hisoka, because right now, when we see when we see the fam troop arguing with themselves, and we see Hisoka sitting down, that's not Hisoka, that's Illumi. And they missed a key scene, and that key scene involves this girl right here, right? Now, this girl right here, she is a member of the Zoldyck family. And the thing here is that she sneaks in there, and then she's confronted by Franklin, the guy with the boxing gloves, and Hisoka. She runs away. And then Hisoka gives chase, in a sense. Like, he walks over, he's like, Daijoubu, like, I'll take care of it. And then he comes back. Well, he quote-unquote comes back. But instead, that's not him, that's Illumi. When Hisoka chases the girl, he switches off with Illumi. That's when Illumi comes in there and acts as a double for Hisoka. Now, I have no idea. I have no idea why they skipped this scene in the manga, because it is a pretty important scene. It shows you how Illumi gets there in the first place. Because, like, you would think to yourself, wait a second, how is it that guys like Franklin, the boxing glove guy, Sphinx, how could they actually be tricked or fooled if if Illumi came in there like on the fly? Like, there had to be like an actual system to it, and that system was, simply put, this girl went in there. She acted as a decoy, where Hisoka could run away, and then Illumi came in as a double, and that's how Hisoka is actually able to go over to the airport where the blimps are, without being noticed by Sphinx, Phaeton, Franklin, and yada yada yada. And I mean, I guess the reason why they skipped it was because they wanted to actually get to the point where we got to the Greed Island, when we actually start the Greed Island arc. Now, another important scene here, obviously, is the exchange. It's the exchange for we see Kurapika exchange Lucifer. At the same time, Paku exchanges Gon and Killua, and then we see them, go to their respective sides, and then at the same time, we see this supposed confrontation between Hisoka and Lucifer, because Hisoka has been waiting. He's been waiting for a fairly long time to fight Lucifer, but the problem here is that, unbeknownst to him, Lucifer had the Judgment Chain placed inside of him, so he can't use his name without dying. And so when Hisoka takes off his shirt, and then using the so he deactivates the pansy gum, and then he takes off the fake tattoo of the fam troop on his back, because he wants to engage in combat right now. And then we have Lucifer laughing. He's like, I can't fight you because he sealed my net, and he has this like dork face, like, what? No, get the fuck. He's like, what? Oh, hell no, man. That ain't cool. So, the thing here is that what happens is that, so he goes back to the blimp, and then he texts Illumi to leave, because everything's taken care of, you can go leave now. And, that's where the whole entire thing with Hisoka ends right there. Hisoka does play a more key role in the Greed Island arc, though. I mean, a little bit of a spoiler, but again, Hisoka plays a key role in almost all the arcs, with the exception of, like, the Prima arc of Hunter x Hunter. Like, the arc after the Greed Island arc, alright? Which is really shocking, because you would think that Hisoka would play, like, a much more key role in that arc, but he didn't. And it was like, what the fuck? So, but I mean, it didn't matter. Like, it didn't fucking matter. It really didn't fucking matter, because that arc was fucking epic. Now, what I will say is that after that, they leave Lucifer in that plateau, while Paku returns over. She returns to the base, to the actual fam troop hideout, and Hisoka goes on his merry way. Because Hisoka does this thing where, like, he completely disappears from, like, the storyline for, like, a while. Then he'll come back randomly, like, oh, like, yeah. And I was like, oh, fuck, like, where did you come from? But what happens is that she decides, you know what? I'm going to die while telling all of these guys, while telling all the original members of Fan Troop about what's going on with Kurapika, with Lucifer, and yada yada yada. And what happens is that she has her Nen bullets, and we know that her Nen bullets can actually transfer her memory to another person, which is why we actually see, like, we've seen it before when she did that with Nobunaga and the other guy when they killed what was his name? Oh, what was his name, man? Hold on, man. The black guy, man. Ah, fuck. What was his name? No, man. Squall. Yeah, that's right. So basically, she fires 6 Nen bullets at the same time. They go into Franklin, Phaeton, Sphinx, Machi, Nobunaga, and Shalnark. And then she dies on the spot because she has broken the covenant that was implied by the Judgment Chain, and thus she dies. And she dies. And now we have these 6 members knowing exactly what went down, and Sphinx relays what happens to the rest of the fam troop, and they, in a sense, they mourn her death, in a sense, because, I mean, Shizuku, like, she was like, she's dead, and I'm like, damn, like, no emotions, like, fuck, Ruth, cold, and, after that, we jump over to, like, a few hours later, it's daytime, and we see Kurapika. He has a fever. Or he has a fever, which makes sense because for the past like 48 hours, he's been under like extreme stress. He's taken out Uvogin. He's had to deal with the whole entire Nosferatu protecting thing, and then hunting down Lucifer, but being stopped by Nosferatu, and yada yada, all that shit. Losing tail, just all the shit. He's been through a lot of shit for the past 48 hours. I respect that shit. Right now, he has a fever. But what I will say is that the 1999 version of Hunter x Hunter did a very good job. They did a very, 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 very good job in displaying what happened during the fever and before the fever. Because in the manga and in this series, we see Kurapika, he's basically in bed, he has a fever automatically, alright? But in the 1999 version of Hunter x Hunter, he has like a psychotic breakdown, like a serious psychotic breakdown. Hallucinations, he's freaking out, and he's spasming, and it's like, whoa. So because the way it was, like, it was such a nice build up to that point where he has his fever, and he's like, he can't have like he's having like hallucinations and shit, and having like these crazy dreams. So like it was some crazy ass shit. It really was. And by the way, that reminds me, before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, I'm going to wind up doing the comparison between this version of the Hunter x Hunter in comparison to the older version, 1999, plus the first OVA. And that'll be like a full-blown discussion video with a lot more detail, a lot more explanations, do with me, obviously. And then after that, what happens here is that as Kurapika and Gon are talking about how they're glad that, Killua and Gon are talking about how they're glad about how Kurapika has now, in a sense, settled down and stopped moving, because he's done some pretty reckless shit for the past like 48 hours, and now they're kind of relieved that he is in bed, in a sense, because he's no longer putting his life in jeopardy to an extreme extent. And then they realize, oh shit, today is the day where the auction for the Greed Island game is occurring, and we had a fucking plan here going. What fuck? Like, how is it gonna work or not? Like, what the fuck? And so Gon tells him, like, we don't know just yet what the plan is, but like we'll see later on as the arc continues forward into the Greed Island game. But what happens here is that there's a plan, and then Kurapika believes that the plan, not Kurapika, goddammit, Killua. I keep on confusing Kurapika and Killua. Fuck. What happens is basically Killua, he believes that this plan is actually a pretty solid plan, and they wind up going towards the auction. They wind up running into Phaeton and Sphinx, who are already there. They hightail the fuck out of there, but they get caught regardless. And then Sphinx breaks it down as to two main things. The first thing is that he tells them. The second thing he was gonna tell them, but then he gets the death stare from Phaeton, letting him know that he should shut up right now. And that there is the end of the actual episode. But the two things are basically this. The first thing here is that residual Nen is actually very dangerous, because the reason why they can't do shit with Lucifer right now, and they can't target Kurapika, the chain user, even though they now know his powers and his abilities and his weaknesses, they can't do it because if he dies, then the residual Nen from his death may affect the actual judgment chain and thus make it even stronger. Because sometimes, even in death, Nen either stays there, or will curse Nen either stays there or gets stronger. So and since Kurapika has such distaste and such bloodlust towards the Phantom Troop, him dying by their hands will only strengthen the judgment chain that is placed on Lucifer. And that's why they want to avoid that. That's number one. And number two is, which he didn't tell Gold and Killua, is that right now, him and Sphinx, Sphinx and Phaeton are right now looking for a Nen user that has the ability to remove Nen that is placed on other people, which they actually do exist. And they'll get more into it later on in the actual series. I'm not going to spoil it for you. So, but yeah, that was it. That was the entire episode. And then right now, it even says at the end of the episode, now we are moving towards the Greed Island arc. So that's where it ends. And my rating is going to be between good and great. I'm not too sure. Because, again, overall, it was great. But the pacing, even the manga, the pacing was kind of fast. And at the same time, they missed that key scene. And I don't know why. For sure, like again, maybe because they want to get maybe because they wanted to move forward towards the Greed Island arc, really quickly. But at the same time, it was a really key scene. It really was. But whatever. Oh yeah, and one last thing before I'm done. The opening. What are they doing now? Like it's weird, man. It's fucking weird. Like now it's like fucking annoying. Now it's really annoying. It's like fuck. Like, they completely remodded the entire opening. But it's the same thing. It's the same fucking thing. It's like, shit. They remodded it, but it's the same thing. It's like, fuck. But whatever, I'm done. I'm done. King Lightning, be sure to, of course, rate, comment, and subscribe as always. And I'm signing out. Once again, look down in the description below for the link to this week's episode of Hunter x Hunter. Peace. No, hold on. Peace! Have a nice day.